Shelley Carney and Toby Eunice bring you New Mexico day trips. Visit national parks, monuments, state parks, and historical sites. See the amazing and unique desert vistas of the Land of Enchantment and walk through the visitor centers, museums, and Pueblo ruins with us. Enjoy the sights, sounds, and flavors of New Mexico. Let's have an adventure. Hello and welcome to New Mexico Day Trips. I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thanks for joining us tonight.
And tonight we're going to be talking about a trip we took somewhere. What are we talking about tonight?
Really, coincidentally, we're called New Mexico
I'm
Day.
sorry, but you told me 3 different things we were going to talk about tonight, and you changed your mind every day. So,
Well, you let's talk about that. What are we talking about tonight to make sure we're okay? We're on the same page here.
I don't know. What are we talking about? What's it called? The SCRAGS claim in the San Andres Mountains. That's what we're talking about.
There you go.
We went with the Sierra County Rock and Gem Society to their claim.
The mining claim.
Which is just outside of Hatch, New Mexico. It's about 40 miles south of Truth or Consequences. And we drove up into their claim in the hills and picked up some rocks.
And what else did we do on the way back?
On the way back, we grabbed some dirt.
All right, let me.
We got rocks and we got dirt. You know what?
What?
Sometimes in the world, we see things that are so common and we cease to notice them because they're so common. And we cease to believe they have any value because they're so common. But there is value in rocks and dirt.
So you don't have to give me this speech because no, I'm going to tell you why. Because I discovered all of that when I was doing my whole World Sand Project thing.
Yeah.
I discovered that the thing that we kick under our toes when we're at the beach actually has this wonderful and amazing and textured life.
And people steal sand. It's so valuable. So just because it's common doesn't mean it's not valuable.
Right. And what you find out about the rest of geology is that we completely overlook it like other elements of nature. And it isn't until you start looking into it like we are now that you find, wow, there's some really interesting stuff here. We're going to show you pictures of them. And I'm going to tell you what we're doing on our other channel. But let's get to our the stuff that I have to talk about first. So
get to it and
would appreciate it if before you leave tonight, you like our video. YouTube likes it when you like our video. Share it with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your business associates, the entirety of your social network so that we can grow the channel. We are at 123 subscribers.
Woohoo!
In 7 months. So we got spoiled by AGK because we had over 1,000 subscribers in 7 months on them. So.
Yeah.
Also, if you are not already a subscriber, this would be the ideal time to subscribe and, tell your friends about it if you like New Mexico or you like what we're doing. And then finally, if you get a moment, write a comment. Either do it in the chat room tonight, or if you're watching this video later, make a comment, ask a question. We love getting comments because we love talking back in the comments. So I was going to say the super chat light is lit, but we don't have a super chat light on this channel. So
I was looking at my Instagram the other day, and there was a mom who had a picture of her tween daughter at the New Mexico Museum of History and Science. What's it called?
New Mexico Museum of Natural
History and Science. And she said, her daughter loved it, but her preschooler son was bored. He didn't care for it. He was bored. It wasn't preschoolish for him. And it's true. Tweens love that place. It's great for them. And then she's like, so where else can I take my preschool kid that he won't be bored? And yes, we've already gone to Explora. So I brought up, hey, there's a place in Los Alamos that's free, the Bradbury Museum. Bradbury Science Museum, and it's got lots of interactive stuff for kids. And I think he might
It's got
like
a
it.
room dedicated to kids,
Yeah.
as does, by the way, the Nuclear Museum here in Albuquerque. If you remember correctly, there's a room in the middle of the museum that's all appropriated for children. So you could have mentioned that.
Yeah, it's something. And I said, go watch the video on YouTube. We went there so that she could check it out before she goes.
Good. Wow, look at you, Miss New Mexico
I know
day
stuff
trips.
now.
Yeah, you do.
I was telling my kids all about it today. I was like, I looked up on the street webcam. I was looking up those street webcams.
Yeah.
And then I had looked up Chama.
Chama has a couple
train
of really good.
depot
Yeah.
in Chama, and I was like, there was snow. Wow, there was snow. I didn't expect to see snow this time of year, but
no, they
a lot of
up in
snow.
the mountains. It's still up there, and they're having the same cool weather that we're having, except it's 30 degrees cooler than we are.
With snow,
Yeah. So, which is good because we can use some water. We haven't quite broken the drought. We'd need 4 or 5 years of this to do it.
Yeah.
But we're in a lot better shape than we were last year at this time.
It's true.
When it comes to water.
So there are several cameras located around New Mexico that you can go look at, live streaming cameras, including the Santa Fe Plaza, the Las Vegas Plaza, the
Albuquerque Old Town,
Roswell. I didn't see one in Albuquerque Old Town.
Yeah, there is one because I've seen it.
Okay, well, you're going to have to help
I
me
used to
find
look at
that
it.
one.
Okay,
because I couldn't find that one.
I always look at it at Christmas to see what they're doing or if they're doing anything different.
Now, some of them were just pictures. They would just take a picture every 5 minutes or something, but some of them are live streamed. And then there's one in Silver City. That's the downtown area.
And Silver City has a real nice old Main Street kind of old.
Yeah, that's where it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you a question. Hang on. Let me see if I can remember it. Nope.
Was it about Roswell?
Oh, no. I ran into somebody and she asked me, who was it? They asked me if we were going down to Roswell for the annual Roswell space alien kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I think I was with you.
Was that this week?
I don't know when it was.
I'll have to look it up.
That was at Blanchard Rock Shop, wasn't it?
That's who it was. Yeah, that's who it was. Trying to remember where it came from.
Yep. We went to Trinity last Saturday, so then we went to Blanchard Rock Shop.
And we're going to talk about
we're going to talk about something else.
Yeah, we'll talk about Trinity and the Blanchard Rock Shop next week.
Okay.
So let me bring you up to speed on what you're doing. Make sure you go to New Mexico Day Trips, nmdaytrips.com. Our blog is there, and you'll see not only a blog for New Mexico Day Trips, but the Garage Prospecting blog. And Shelley does a great job of keeping that material nice and fresh and informative and interesting. So just go read some of her articles, and you'll become like me.
And one of our articles is in a newspaper that just started coming out, New Mexico for You, and you can find that online at nm4u.org. And we have an article in there about New Mexico, about specifically this month was about grants and the mining museum. Grants.
Well, Shelley is very gracious when she uses the word we. She's using it very loose.
You took the picture.
Okay, I take the picture. She writes the articles, and they're really good.
You know what they say about pictures?
Pictures would say 1,000 words if people were trying to understood what you were trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have lots of cool things on our website at nmdaytrips.com. Please go and visit it. That's also a good way to get in touch with us, and we have links to our garage prospecting channel. So the photos that we're going to look at today, I do want to show you this. So this is our garage prospecting channel on YouTube, and tomorrow we're going to be talking about processing Idaho dredge concentrates from our friend Coulter Young. Let me pop this open so you can see it. To see how much gold was in this bag of pay dirt. It was very cool. And you can see that's a microscopic view of the gold. It always looks so great under a microscope. It's got a lot of things happening. But I also, in this particular one, I found a little tiny piece of silver.
Oh, is that silver?
Yeah, that's what that is. So,
I was thinking it was pyrite. Okay.
No, pyrite's actually shinier. Pyrite is amazing because it looks like gold should look. And that's the advantage is you can tell when you're dealing with pyrite because once you've seen gold, you realize that pyrite's way too shiny to be gold. The other thing too is it's 6 or 7 on the Mohs scale. So show me your Mohs scale t-shirt. That's Shelley's. We got this for her when we were
in Tier C.
Tier C.
Tells you all the different hardness levels
From
of the different things.
1 to 10.
10 is diamond, and 1 is talc.
And what does it say down at the bottom?
It says a hard rock is good to find, as opposed to a good rock is hard to find.
So anyway, go visit it. We've got that tomorrow night. We're premiering that. It's not a live stream in the New Mexico day trip sense, but we think you might enjoy it. In addition to that, if you want to see the video tour of our trip to the SCRAGS mining claim, the video went up at 7:00. So that'll be available. SCRAGS. What did I say? SCRAGS. Oops.
SCRAGS is an old pharmacy.
Oh,
kind of like Walgreens.
Actually, it is, but it also used to be in, I don't know, maybe it was, I don't know if it was for you, but in Santa Fe, a girl who was of ill repute was a skag.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Like a skink?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, she is such a skag. Don't do that, man.
Skags.
But we don't talk about anybody like that anymore. All right. So let's take a look at the pictures.
There it is.
And this is our rockhounding trip. The link to the to this photo album is in the description box below. So we had their permission to launch the drone, and so we did. We got some video that you'll see if you go watch the video. So I'm not going to, I ended up saying, I noticed as I went back over it, I said, go watch the video. Go watch the video. Last time I'll say it. Because it's a video, right? And this is the view from overhead. This was the trail that led up to it. You can see what happens here is, see this section right there? That's been bulldozed. And they bulldoze sections that they all agree upon for various reasons. I found out that when we were there, they bulldozed this section because there was people were making a road up here and not taking the right route. So it was doing damage. You can see some of the damage that was done when they were taking the shortcut. So they bulldozed it so you can get in there. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, they go up into these areas and they bulldoze some of the areas just to open up the rock, to take the overburden off. Now, this is one of those areas where you don't have to dig to collect the minerals that are there. A lot of them are on top of the ground. And when they're not on top of the ground, you can see the areas. Let me go to the next photo so you can see the areas. Well, this is, let me show you, this is the road that led up to the claim. This is a drone shot that's facing west back towards I-25. And this is a road, it's not a bad road, it is well cared for. But later on, you'll see this little dry wash here. And Shelley and I took a sample from that dry wash so we could process it on our gold prospecting channel. But I wanted to show you this. So you can see here that there's levels. Those are not natural. The mountain, the normal mountain, these are the San Andreas Mountains, by the way. They normally look like that, but you can see all these different colors. Well, all those different colors are representatives of some of the minerals that are in there. So if you see red like here, you think rhyolite. If you see something that's yellow to brown, you think the ferrous minerals. So, but you can see where they send the bulldozer up, and the bulldozer is chartered with opening up some of that ground. In gold mining, they call it overburden. But the idea is to push it out. And there's these layers here where you can see they pushed it out there, and there's a layer there. We were parked here. That's my little black truck right there. And then there was still another layer above us there. So, and that's what's happening up here. So they open up areas where you can start digging for, because one of the other things that you find about rockhounding is that there's very good minerals on the surface, but it gets better when you dig even further. Now, they didn't allow us to do that. They said this was going to be a surface collection. You could only pick up stuff that you could see on the surface. We did bring a
claw,
the claw, one of those garden handle rakes, you know, that you use for gardening, and that made it just a little bit easier to look for stuff. So this
you could turn rocks over and not be afraid of
right.
something coming out and biting you.
Yeah, exactly. So this was the first level. And this is, a lot of the people just stayed here and looked in this area. We went up to the third level, and they said it needed a 4-wheel drive truck. I think you could have been, if your vehicle wasn't a low to the ground, you could probably have done it in a 2-wheel drive. It didn't require 4-wheel drive, but it did gives you a certain amount of confidence. So we did put it in 4-wheel drive just to be safe. So here's what was happening. I didn't realize this, but while I was flying the drone, my partner here just took her bag. Oh, dadgummit.
What?
I took a picture of your bag, and because I lost all of that material, hang on. I took a picture of it. Now I'm not going to be able to find it. That's the picture I was going to give you for the selling rocks.
Oh.
We had a little, I don't want to call it a disaster. We had uploaded all these pictures as we usually do once we get them processed. And I put them up last week, and I went to add some photos to them today, and they had, I don't know how to describe it, disappeared. And so I had to re-upload it. And one of the photos, do me a favor while I'm doing this.
Okay.
Go and send that picture to the Google Photos for New Mexico Day trips.
Okay.
Into this album, if you can get there.
Okay.
Because I thought it was important. Anyway, so here's the story. The story is that as I was flying the drone, getting these shots, because I told the folks at SCRAGS that I would give them all my photos and videos if they wanted to use them in their promotions. And that's why they let us fly the drone. Anyway, while I was flying the drone, Shelley was already out collecting, and she came home with a bag. She came back to the truck, and I was just putting the drone away. She handed me this bag with a big old huge collection of rocks already. And I'm not going to say this in an offensive way, and I hope she doesn't take it as offensive. She's not a big rock hound. I mean, she hasn't done this before, but the rocks that she picked up, I'm going to show you some of them, were actually very representative of the area that we were in. And what was really fun is she said, I don't know what I got, but here. And it was just like, we didn't necessarily have to do any more collecting. I was looking for a particular style of rock that I was told was there, but I got a funny feeling that they're probably underground. Anyway, she came up with an outstanding collection. So this is the area that we were parked in, and that's what it looked like. And what they did is we went up there in a caravan from Truth or Consequences. We started at the Truth or Consequences fairgrounds, and we followed a caravan. And what happened was the guy that was leading the caravan, so we had to drive from Truth or Consequences on I-25 south to the Hatch exit. And so it was what, 20 miles, 15?
Closer to 40.
Was it? Anyway, this guy just hightailed it out of there. He jetted out of there. And he left everybody behind. And then even worse, there was someone up front that got behind a pulled trailer, a truck with a pulled trailer that wasn't in the caravan, but just decided to go that speed. And I realized we've lost that guy. He's gone. He's way ahead of us now. So I did the thing that everybody hates seeing people do. I just passed everybody. I said, we got to catch up. So we caught up to him before the Hatch exit. And so, and then we followed him in. And when he got on the dirt road, he did the same thing. He just booked out of there. And we were driving that dirt road like we were on a kind of Baja 400 race. Anyway, we got up there. People came up afterwards. Nobody got lost. Or if they did, they turned around.
Well, there was a guy in the back who wasn't supposed to pass anybody. So.
And I thought he had a side-by-side vehicle. I thought he ended up there he is. So that vehicle right there was the guy that was at the back of the pack, and he was towing a 4x4, or not a 4x4, side-by-side, one of those 4-wheel drive recreational vehicles. So, and he took off as soon as he got there. He unloaded and he took off in this direction up here. Now, I could have taken my truck up there, but they were kind of limiting us to where we would go. And I think that was a safety issue for them. So, but it was a beautiful area. It was so New Mexico. It was like, okay, yeah, this is southern New Mexico, you know. But you don't realize, and you can see behind Shelley in these rocks back there, they're all kinds of different colors. Well, each of those colors represents a different kind of rock, a different kind of mineral, and what it's made of. And like I said, I was flying the drone. Shelley comes back with her bag and she says, I got these. I don't know what they do. And one of the guys, so Shelley attracts, if it's a bunch of guys in our age group, she always attracts attention. They all want her attention. And so one of the guys that had led us up there, right away pulled out his infrared and he's looking through Shelley's bag and he's identifying this and he's helping her with this. And I'm still goofing around with the drone. Well, once we got finished with that, Shelley and I went up the hill and started just digging up this hill right here. So we went up the road and the road actually goes up here. We could have taken the truck up there, but we were already kind of settled and we were happy with where we were. And we didn't mind doing the rock. Now, it was really windy that day, and so it made it cool. I mean, it was the wind is what made it cool. But you also had to be careful with your walking. We didn't bring our walking sticks because we weren't doing like climbing. I didn't think they were necessary, but it was very unstable. You have to keep your eyes where you're walking. Otherwise, you're going to stumble eventually. And there were several times where I tripped over stuff that what I've learned is I can't hike and wear these glasses at the same time because they're trifocals and they're not only a different prescription, but they also change your depth perception, and so it's better for me to take them off. So this guy was the leader of the pack. He's the one that brought us there. And then these people were like us. They just joined. They weren't necessarily, they signed up for this field trip. They did one on Saturday and another one on Sunday. And so they were all doing the same thing. And we were picking up rocks and saying like, what is this? And he was very helpful that way. So you can see right here was the other plateau, if you will, and you had to walk around the sign to get there. But if you walked over here and just started picking up rocks in this area, you'd pick up 5 or 6 different types of minerals, you know? I mean, that's how common they were. It was just really amazing at how well it was done. So I just took this shot because this struck me as between the yucca plants, the one that was growing, the dried one, the rocks. This is like New Mexico. Like this to me is like New Mexico. I could see that. That's a rhyolite, and there was lots of it around, and some of it was broken already. Like this, you didn't have to break it to find it. We didn't pick this up because Shelley had already picked up a good sample, and we're going to see that in just a moment. But that's how common these things were. And if you look just a little bit further, you would see quartz, you would see calcite, you would see barite, and they would all be in the same, 4 square foot area. And that's what made, it's like a rockhound's dream. So Pirate's a rockhound. Pirate says he's a rockhound. Well, you would have loved this place, Pirate. So this is a calcite sample right here, a calcite specimen. And as a matter of fact, I think we picked this one up. I picked this one up and added it to the bag. But like I said, it's just laying on the ground. There was lots of chert in the area, and chert implies that there's other minerals around. It's a very soft mineral, just a little bit harder than talc. But there was a lot of that around, a lot of rhyolite. This was the view from the second level, from where we are looking back west towards Hatch. Over the mountain. Hatch is actually over those mountains. There is other mining up here. There are active mining claims for lead and silver. They didn't think there was any gold in the area, but my theory is there's gold any place. What's that? Gold is where you find it. So gold is prolific. We take at least one selfie so we can get the selfie in.
See where I'm wearing my gloves.
Oh, you are wearing gloves. She was really good because I kept asking her, do you have gloves? Make sure you take gloves,
I have a lot of gloves. I have to do a lot of yard work.
Yeah, that's true. Again, looking west from the lower level, we were driving back. So by this time we're done. right? And we were driving back, and we decided to stop at this dry wash to the Arroyo to get some material so that we could use it for our gold prospecting channel. Now, I'm going to tell you why we did that. When we took the trip to Las Cruces, one of the areas we went up to was the Dripping Springs Recreational Area, which is in the Oregon Mountains. And we both knew from our reading that at one time there had been gold and silver mining in the Oregon mountains. Well, people don't mine gold and silver if there isn't. And that doesn't mean they're still looking for it, because at some point it became inefficient to mine for gold. It just, you weren't getting enough to make it profitable. But that means there was gold up there. And so one of the things that we've learned is that if there was gold there once, there is very likely gold there now. And the most likely place to find any gold is in the dry washes that lead down from the mountains where the gold mining was done, just the nature of that particular beast. So we took a sample and we ran that sample last week, and we found gold. We found gold in it, and without knowing what was going to be in there. So anyway, as I got out of the truck to go check out the dry wash, I noticed this little yellow plant doing its best to kind of bloom in the combination of hot, dry sun and cold wind. You know, it seemed like it was impossible for him, but he was doing a good job. This is me digging up some of the dry wash and putting it through a couple of classifiers so that we can take out the 1/2 inch rocks, 1/4 inch rocks, and 1/8 of an inch rocks. And we now call this the San Andres sample. And we're going to be running it on our show next week. We already have our show for this week on Garage Prospecting on Thursday. Next Thursday, we'll be running this sample to see if there's any gold in it, just because we think there is.
Because there was in the Oregon Mountain one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the San Andres did have gold mining, and this little dry wash leads down from those mountains. The first thing I look for, once I look for rounded rocks, because the rounded rocks implies there was movement in the water and the rocks experienced some, what geologists called mass wasting. So they broke off the granite, and over tens of thousands, if not millions of years, that little piece of quartz that broke off the granite gets washed and rolls down hills and gets brushed against other rocks and eventually ends up a piece of sand. That's where the sand comes from. And they call that mass wasting. And so what I'm looking for is rocks that have metallics in them, rocks that have the indication of lead. I'm sorry, not lead, iron in them. And then rocks that have veins in them. And if they have any of those, then I'll take a sample. And when I get back to the house, I clean it up just a little bit. I wash it, basically. And I know that sounds funny, washing dirt, but you want to get all the material out of there that's not going to help you look for gold. But the next thing I do is, after drying it out, I check it for magnetics. I run a magnet through it to see if there's any what's referred to as black sand. And black sand is a good indication that there might be gold there, because they do this, they behave the same way in water. And sure enough, there was black sand. I showed Shelley this afternoon that there was black sand in there. So there's a good chance. Well, I'm not going to say a good chance. There's a chance there might be some gold in this sample. So we did, like I said, we decided to stop. I always take this picture of where I'm collecting so that I have the geographic coordinates. I should have showed you on the map where that is, where the geographic coordinates are, and I have them precisely because your smartphone will do that for you. This is a look up the draw, and you can see it. If I go back to, well, I'll go back to it in just, maybe I can go back to it. So this is right here. So that's the little wash, right? And that wash comes down here, right about here. It actually crosses the road. And that's where we got that sample. So we take the sample and we put it in the truck, and then we go home, and here is what the dry wash looked like where we took the sample from, just for memory's sake. This is Shelley wearing her shirt and her new pendant. It's Labradorite, and it does funny things in the light.
It's very funny. I like to laugh at it.
And then this is a look back. So we were on the hill returning, and I showed you that chain of hills that separated us from Hatch. We were just about to go over the top of that hill. And this is looking back to where we had come from along this ridge right here. And there is yet again another dry wash coming off from these hills. So this is the bag that I was talking about. Just one more rock, I promise. And they were selling them at the Gem and Mineral Show that we were at in Truth to Consequences. So we decided, hey, we're gonna be going up there tomorrow, so we might as well get one. And that was the organization right there, the SCRAGS. It stands for Sierra County Rock and Gem Society, and they're the ones that took us on the field trip. Shelley didn't quite fill that bag, but she did a pretty good job of getting all.
Well,
them.
if I'd put all the rocks in there at once, I would have.
It
But I
would
emptied it out, and we went the second time.
Yeah. So I did get one of the rocks that I didn't take a picture, and I should have, but it's a rock about that big. And if you didn't know better, you'd say to yourself, that's a big rock, probably weighs what, 4 or 5 pounds. Well, it's made of barite, and barite is the heaviest non-mineral. So the metallic. So metallics include silver, gold, palladium, platinum, and what was the other one? Silver, gold, palladium, platinum, and copper. So those are the 5 metallics.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Copper.
And
Ghost Dancer wants to dig up dirt with us.
All right, good. So barite is the heaviest of them, and you pick up this rock, and the guy that took us said, you need to get that. Well, I said, why? And he said, because it's a great specimen of barite. And he said, here, hold it. And it feels like you're picking up a lead ball. I mean, it's just about that big, but it feels like it's made of lead. It's so heavy, and it's very crystalline. It almost looks like calcite or quartz, but it's just really heavy minerals. So these are some of the samples that Shelley picked up. This was a sample of starburst jasper. So it's a jasper which is very colorful on this other side, but it also connects with barite. So it creates this starburst look, like this starburst look. So they call it starburst jasper. This is ferruginous quartz.
Ferruginous.
Ferruginous quartz. Ferruginous quartz.
Because it's a U before the G.
And it's quartz. Some people mistake it for citrine. It's not citrine. It is quartz that has been influenced by iron.
Mm.
So it's SiO2, whatever iron is. And I forgot what iron is. But the iron in it is rust, basically. Fe. And that's where you get it. And these are actually crystals. As usual, the photograph doesn't do it justice. You can't get it all. But these are all these crystals of quartz that have been tinted with iron. And so they end up orange. But it was a beautiful specimen. And what's really funny is there was a woman up there, and she said, I got this beautiful specimen of citrine. And I thought, how is citrine up here? Because citrine is really hard to find.
It's just yellow quartz, isn't it?
Well, it's yellow. It's not orange. Citrine is naturally, it's lemon yellow. As a matter of fact, it's named after a fruit that it's called a citrine. The French use it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but it was a great specimen. And Shelley picked this one up, like I said, before we even got it. This is some brecciated jasper. And what they mean by that is it's a beautiful jasper. This right here is a combination of things. So brecciated means it's been combined with other materials because of where it was setting. So down here, it has some chert. You can't see it, but behind it, there was some calcite. But over here, this is what they call druzy quartz. And druzy quartz are these little tiny crystals of quartz. They're almost like rough sandpaper. Is that a good description? Rough sandpaper?
Yeah, why not?
Rough sandpaper, and so you find
it makes it sparkle in the sun.
Yeah, it really may when you put it out in the sun because of all those little tiny quartz crystals. It looks really amazing. So this is rhyolite. There is a lot of it up there because what you see along the hillsides are literally the color red, and that red is leached out of the rhyolite that's both on top in the form of more powdery material, but underneath from the rocks. And this was a really good specimen because it was rhyolite and layers right here. And then it had some quartz in it right here. So it was a really pretty specimen. This is natural. This wasn't cut, broken. We didn't do anything. We picked it up off the ground like that. Nature made that. And then this is barite. And we wanted to find a really, really good specimen of the barite because we saw some at all three of the gem shows we've been at recently. And it's very dramatic. This is the closest we could get. And remember that starburst jasper head features similar to this. But that's how you know it's barite. And the second way you know it is how heavy it is. So this rock, if you were to hold this rock and a similar sized rock, hold this in one hand, hold the barite in one hand, and another rock of the same size in the other hand, the barite would be 3 times as heavy. I mean, literally, that's the big difference with it. Also, this one has been influenced by iron, and that's why you get that kind of yellowish orange color into it. Sometimes barite, the US spells it B-A-R-I-T-E, but everybody else in the world spells it with a Y. I actually wasn't paying attention to spell check. And so when I typed it in, I typed barite and it corrected it to Barnum. And I didn't notice that until I looked at the photo again. So I had to cross it out and re-enter it. That's where that little thing is. This is a really good specimen Shelley found. It's called zebra jasper, and it's been layered. And these are both, this one is calcite, but this is quartz. And then it goes back to calcite. There's some rhyolite here. There's some sort of ferrous material, but it was just this beautiful piece that nature had made by layering different minerals on top of one another. And then between heat and weight and water and all these things that are happening to it, it creates this beautiful piece of zebra jasper. So there is a lot of, this is one place where you're going to find some agate, but mostly jasper and a lot of rhyolite. So this was a heavy piece of calcite. Again, Shelley picked this one up, and the calcite tends to run in layers. You can tell it's not quartz. Now, this particular piece has quartzite on the, I'm sorry, quartz on the other side. But what was pretty about it was this calcite size because it too was layers. And you got to remember, these layers don't happen overnight. They take tens of thousands, if not millions of years to get that formation. And they come from, this is what they call float material. This is float calcite. So it's come off a much bigger vein of this calcite rock that's up there. And excuse me. Man, I'm sorry. So this came, this float calcite came off a much larger piece, rolled down the mountain, and ended up where we were looking for material. So, and you didn't have to look far. This one, I would say, is about that big, but it was beautiful because of the calcite on one side and quartz on the other. So I think that's it. I think that's the last of our specimen collection. Now, we ended up with about, I'm going to say, a total of around 30 specimens. There were some pure chert specimens in there. So we got quite a collection. We were only there for about an hour and a half.
We didn't have to go anywhere because this stuff was all laying in the road or right next to the road.
Yeah, so that's right. I mean, Shelley made a point that
I walked up into the hill a little bit and there wasn't anything there that you couldn't find right there in the road.
Exactly. So nonetheless, I felt like it was a good trip for us. We had fun with it. We had a lot of help. I found an app. Shelley asked me, how did you identify all those things? So I should tell you guys. I found an app called Rock Identifier on my smartphone. And basically what you do is you open up Rock Identifier, you point at the rock, you press the button, and it identifies the rock for you. I mean, it's just amazing. Now, it is $30 a year, but I thought for the kind of things that we do, we want to be able to keep that. So it was a good trip for us.
Yeah, we had fun, and we got a lot of nice specimens for, it cost us $5 each to go on this field trip. So for $5, we got a whole bunch of stuff, didn't we?
Well, we not only did we get a lot of stuff, we had a lot of fun. and we learned. I think when we can go on a trip like that, we have somebody that can help us kind of get through it and see what we're looking for. We went up to like a place in the San Andres Mountains that we would have no other reason to go into, were it not for these guys saying, hey, you want to spend $5 and do a field trip? And this guy's going to race you to the location. So yeah, it
and
was.
then we got the bucket of dirt. So
yeah,
we still got to check that out, see if there's any gold flakes in there.
Right. So I did. So tomorrow we're processing some dirt that I bought from online, from Mining Magnets. It was their Idaho Dredge Cons. So you'll be able to see us process that out. We've gotten pretty good at the processing to find gold. We were surprised to find we found a lot more gold in the Idaho Dredge concentrates than we did in the sample that we took in the Oregon Mountains. How many do we have? Like there was 10, 15 flakes of gold?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something. I mean, it was, but you got to consider it was free.
Right.
You didn't have to pay for the pay dirt.
Nope.
But there's not as much gold. It was a trade-off.
Yeah, there wasn't enough gold to actually put it on the scale, right? When you buy a bag of pay dirt, usually they charge you by the gram. They say you're getting a half gram or you're getting a gram. And so you know what you're getting. And if you know how to do the work to get it out, you'll get it. Well, when you dig up an arroyo below a mountain, you're just getting a bunch of dirt. And if you find gold in it, it's pure luck, right?
Yeah. Nobody told us to go dig there. We just said, hey, let's go do that.
Let's go do that. So that's what we've been doing. Every time we go out, Shelley keeps her eye out for a dry wash. When we went to Trinity site last week, we went to Trinity site. We did our duty there. We got some great video. Then we went to a rock shop because I wanted to buy a piece of trinitite, which is the material that was left on the surface after the explosion of the bomb. So I found a really good and expensive piece. I probably spent more than I should have, but for the piece that I got. But I've always wanted a piece of my of trinitite, so I'm over that now. I've got it. Anyway, we'll show you pictures of it next week. Anyway, we're coming back. We see a dry wash. We go over there. One side has a fence on it. The other side is wide open. Comes down from the mountains. It's headed for the Rio Grande.
Right next to a road.
Right next to a road. Hell, we're going to dig up some dirt. So we did. And we'll run that in 3 or 4 weeks. We're calling it the
Bosquecito.
The Bosquecito sample because that was the name of the area. Bosquecito.
What's the name of the road?
The road is
I thought that was the name of the road.
No, there's a town. If you follow that road up, there's a small town up there called Bosquecito. It's above
the name of their app is Rock Identifier.
Yeah. Yes. Rock Identifier. So that's what it looks like on your screen, and you open up. Well, you may not all have that, but you basically press on the button there and you point it at the rock and it tells you what it is. It does a scan, and then you can save it in your library. You can identify the information about the rock, Mohs scale, weight, size, that kind of stuff. And you can keep it in a library of your own.
Location and all that?
Yeah. It has all of that information.
Very cool.
So let me see if I can find one. Here's one of the samples, the calcite samples that I did, and I put it in my collection. So I can always look back and it's got
like March and April was early April, very early April. March mostly was all about rock shows. Actually, February and March, February and March was all about gem and mineral shows. And that's it now. They're done until like fall.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on into something else now.
Outdoors things. I am thinking about going up to Ancho this weekend.
Oh yeah.
See if we can find that see if there's any ore up there.
Yeah, we can do that. Ancho is another place in New Mexico that's along the trail that we took when we visited the Salinas Pueblo missions.
Yeah. You head south and east off the road instead of going south and west. But it's a place where they did gold mining, and you can go up there. It's a rock hounding location. It's in a national forest. and it's near a ghost town. Now the Forest Service has
Ooh,
blocked off the
ghosties.
ghost town, but there is mining up there. And what they said is you can find some ore up there, meaning unprocessed material. And so I recently purchased something called a mighty mill, which gives us the ability to process an ore down to a powder, and then we run it through our process to see if we can get gold out of it. So it's just an opportunity for us to actually see if we can get gold out of all of this material. That's what we're looking forward.
We're trying to spin gold out of, what was that Rumpelstiltskin did? Gold out of straw. What was it? Spin straw into gold.
What was the girl's name with the hair?
The girl's name with the hair?
Wasn't that Rumpelstiltskin?
No, that was the
Rapunzel.
evil guy.
Never mind. I'm confusing.
That was the evil guy.
Yeah.
Spun gold, straw into gold.
Well, Ghost Answer, I don't know where you are, but if you're in New Mexico, let us know where you're at, and maybe we'll plan a trip in your direction sometime, because we're always looking for it. MJ Inser says, hi, Shelley and Toby. Great video. What's the name of the app? Yeah. Now, I should advise you that this particular app, Rock Identifier, does have a subscription. It's a $30 a year subscription, but we feel like it was a good investment for us because we're going to be doing a lot more of this, I think.
And we don't have to track down geologists to help us all.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was really good because you need good lighting, and you just lay the rock out under the light and it scans it, and then it gives you all the information about it. And it's very good about, Colorado. Well, you know what? Colorado does have a lot of gold mining up there. And
Trinidad.
Yeah. We're eventually going to,
north.
no,
it's not that bad.
Yeah.
That's actually just on the border.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you know some places up there where we could go, rock hounding, especially if it's got ores around there, old mining areas where they've left some ore behind, we'd love to go up there.
Yeah, Colorado's got lots of gold.
All right, guys, I think that's it for tonight. Next week we're going to be yeah.
End up there.
So next week we visited Trinity site, the place where they exploded the first atomic bomb back in July of 1945. And they open that site 2 times a year, first week in April.
First Saturday in April.
First Saturday, April, third Saturday in October.
Yeah.
Right.
It used to be the first Saturday in October, but it was too much competing with Balloon Fiesta, I think. So they moved it to the third Saturday.
So, we went there on the first Saturday. We had a great trip. We got there. We didn't do the early. We did the late. And that meant our lines were shorter. And when we got
we were the very last people to leave.
Yeah, we were actually
they chased us out.
They actually had a police car, a military police car following us out. Like we were the last
Toby's
ones.
Like, oh no, she's got her lights on, or he's got his lights on.
I pulled over because he was coming up behind me and had his lights on. And so I pulled over and I rolled it down, and he didn't know what I was doing. And I said, you had your lights on? He says, yeah, sir, you're the last one. Let's get a move on.
He's like, I'm escorting you
out. Yeah. So, but it was good because when we finally got to the Trinity site, you'll see our pictures. There was nobody else there. So we were like, we got a selfie that was like a perfect with nobody around. And when we went in, we got a media pass, which was even better because they gave us the full media.
Well, we'll show that next week.
All right. I'll save it for next week.
Too many.
So let me answer that. MJ Inser, there's 2 kinds of gold, basically. There are what are referred to as placer deposits. It looks like placer, but it's pronounced placer. And that means this is alluvial gold. It's been washed down from someplace down a river, a dry arroyo, whatever it is. Water has moved it, and it's located, and you can pan through it. A lot of the things that are found come from these alluvial deposits, placer deposits. But the other way is you can dig into the rock, and what you're looking for in the rock is quartz with veins in it, and that's called lode ore. And lode ore, you have to mine for it. And then there's a process. You mine it, you break it down to rocks that size, then you break it down to rocks even smaller. Eventually, you break it down so far, you end up with a powder. And then you process that powder, extract the gold, and then there's further processes. But that's lode ore, lode gold. in ore versus placer deposits where the ore has already, as a matter of fact, if you watch our show tomorrow night, that was from a placer deposit. It was from in Idaho, and it was concentrates that were at the bottom of a river, alluvial, right? And so they dredged that up and they sent us a package of those concentrates and we process it. That's a placer deposit, but I don't have it here. I have purchased some ore, some from a place in Colorado, actually. I purchased a 2-pound bag of ore, and once my Mighty Mill comes in, we're going to process. We're going to break those rocks down into a powder, and we're going to put it through the process. See if we can get some gold out of it.
So we're adding one more machine to the process. So
no, two more.
Two more.
Two more because we need the hammer drill to break it down so that it fits into the Mighty Mill.
So we're going to have 10 different pieces of equipment in the process.
Part. Yeah, go look at our channel. We're having a ball. Or watch us tomorrow night at 7:00. We're doing it as a premiere tomorrow night, so it'll start. You'll be able to chat.
High-tech version of the hobby of gold panning.
Paid, yeah.
we don't just use a pan.
Yeah, what's really funny is when you buy one of these bags of pay dirt, they tell you, they give you instructions, take it, pour into a pan, add some water, then spin it around. We don't do that. We use.
You do that a little bit.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, just kind of the final cleanup for each one of them. But we have these, right now we have 5 different machines that helps us get from the coarsest gold in a sample to the finest.
And that's the electric machines. And then you've got the classifiers, which aren't a machine, but they're another tool.
Right. So we're having a good time with it.
Bring you a sample of sand from the Bahamas.
Oh, that
bring
would
us
be...
some sun and
no wind.
Some drinks too.
Some Mai Tais. A Bahama
what
Mama.
do they drink? Oh yeah, Bahama Mama. There you go.
Well, that's what they drink. So, all right, you guys. I think that's it for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Keep an eye out for us tomorrow. If you want to learn more about the processing of gold, watch tomorrow night's show, 7:00 on Garage Prospecting. So
we'll learn more about Trinity and the atomic bomb. Then join us next week.
And we made it a point to mention in that particular show, in that particular video, that this was kind of the culmination of an effort we had gone to. We had gone to the Nuclear Museum in Albuquerque. We had been to the Bradbury Museum in
Bradbury Science Museum.
Bradbury Science
but
Museum.
But also the Historical Society Museum in Los Alamos, because it gave a lot of history of
that you wouldn't know
the Manhattan Project.
Yeah. So we've been to all these places, and kind of the last place that we needed to go was Trinity site to kind of finish up this tour to nuclear weaponry.
The Trinity, right, of the museums.
And that only happens, it only opens twice a year, and they're very specific. It's open from 9 to 8 to 2. They close the gates and everybody's out by 3:30. And we were the 3:30 guys. By the time they got us across the gate line, it was like 3:45, but they were going like, you're out of here.
Time to go.
Thank you, MJ. I made a budget for it, and I spent the budget and just a little bit. But the Mighty Mill threw me over my budget. But and it's going to take a while. Each one of them.
We'll sell the gold.
It's we're going to put the gold in what are referred to as teardrop vials, and we're going to put them in our store. So we'll tell you when that happens. All right, guys. I think that it is for tonight. Let me turn off my banner. Oh, it didn't do that. It's the wrong one.
That was it right there. There you
go. There we go. All right. And then we'll see you. If we don't see you tomorrow night, we'll see you next Wednesday for Trinity site. Bye, you guys.